Hi, and welcome to Chef Class Patisserie. I'm Chef John Schneeberger.
I'm Ryan Constable.
And I'm Rain Patrick.
Today we're making artisanal bread. It's actually known as a pain rustique. It's a rustic style bread. It's really beautiful, simple recipe, and absolutely elegant. Now on last week's show, we finished the show making a starter. And we added some flour and some water together, mixed it all up, allowed it to sit, and we fed it all week. A little bit more flour, a little bit more water, and actually trapped wild yeast cells. And we have that here today. Look how beautiful that looks. It's just gorgeous. It's got an amazing aroma. You see all the bubbles have developed. This is going to add something very, very special to our bread today. Rain has been developing this dough as well, and you're set up with all your ingredients.
Yes, chef.
So I noticed that you have right here some yeast and water together.
Yes, chef.
Why?
Well, I have to let the yeast fermentate first before we can actually start making the bread. So basically, it's eating the sugar and producing CO2.
Right, so you put the yeast and the water together. We used warm water.
Yes, chef.
And the yeast is actually in little kind of molasses balls, right?
Yes, chef.
And so that's sugar.
Yes, chef.
Yeast eats the sugar, gives off CO2 gas, and we're getting that nice, almost like a little bit of a beer smell. So that's the alcohol. Excellent. What's next?
Next, we're going to add in our flour.
Okay.
We're going to cover all the water so there's no gaps.
Okay. So we're using basic bread flour here,
Yes,
about
chef.
16% protein, right?
Yes, chef.
Beautiful.
And now we're going to add in our salt. And we're
Okay.
going to make sure that the salt does not touch the water because it'll eat the yeast.
So salt, yeast, bad.
Yes, chef.
Okay. So what comes next?
Our starter.
Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing, shift that around a little bit. Now we have this beautiful starter, so we're going to get it all. We're going to scrape down the sides. This is so amazing that we don't want to waste anything. And look at that. Look how it looks. That's wonderful. Okay. So we have those basic 4 ingredients in here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeast, water, flour, and a little bit of salt. And that's the whole thing for this dough.
Yes, it is, chef.
Okay, what's next?
Now we're going to start mixing it.
So it looks nice and soft.
It is, chef. It's nice and gooey.
Nice and gooey. That's excellent. Okay, so you're going to get messy hands, right?
Yes, very messy.
Could I make this in a machine?
You could. It'll take less time, but it's better to make it by hand.
Yeah, you really get the feel for it, right?
Yes, chef.
Okay. Hold that for you there. There we go. So we're working it, and I'm noticing as you're mixing it, it's getting tighter, isn't it?
Yes, chef.
What's happening? It's developing the gluten?
Yes, chef.
Right. So we have a bread flour. Again, bread flour has about 16% protein. That means we're going to get a lot of gluten. It's going to firm up quite a bit. And we want that with this bread. We want to have a bread that's firm and yet really fluffy. And what's the most amazing thing is it's 4 ingredients, and it comes out so incredibly delicious. Okay, so that looks good. You've gotten the flour away from the bowl. So what's next?
It's time for Ryan to start kneading it.
Ryan!
Here I am.
There we go.
All right. So once Rain's got all her stuff off her hands, I'm gonna pull this out of the bowl. Get everything onto the table nicely. Should John take that for me? I'm gonna start to knead this. Okay. So right now I'm working at the cleanup stage, just making sure that all the flour gets in there and everything's incorporated properly.
Is it important that I don't put flour on my table?
It's very important because if we add any more flour onto the table, it's going to get worked into the dough, and we're not going to have the right ratio, and we're going to end up with dry bread.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. And if I mix it properly and I develop the gluten, as you were talking about, I don't really have to worry about that anyways, do I?
No, because we'll have a solid, round, flat, beautiful-looking piece of dough.
Okay, so it's coming together. You're developing the gluten. It's still nice and moist. Once it comes together and it kind of picks up into a ball, right? Is that a stage? Is that something important?
Yeah, that's pretty important. What's that called again?
That's called cleanup stage.
That is a
So that's exactly it. You saw that when Rain was finishing and she was mixing, and it all kind of came together. Same with right now. Ryan's mixing it up and it's all coming together. It's called cleanup stage. It means everything is mixed properly, but it's not mixed enough. So Ryan's going to keep mixing this for a while, and we're going to take it to a stage where the dough is absolutely satiny and beautiful and really something special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Might be here for a couple minutes.
Here, let me take a turn.
All right.
Yeah, get your hands off. There we go.
Leave it to the master. You tell he's done this a few more times than I have. Squeak in there.
Yeah. See, feel it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to wash, that's cool. And so, because when we come back,
This is great. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna scrape some of this.
okay, we're good.
All right, so now we've reached our peak of development. So I'm just gonna peel this off the table a little bit.
So peak of development, again, means it's perfectly developed. You've got that gluten perfectly built, right?
Yes.
And it feels, I notice, very, very satiny smooth.
Yes,
Is that
it
how I
is.
know?
Yeah, that's exactly how you know. So we don't have all those stringy, nasty-looking flour patches that we had in the beginning.
Right.
So now we'll get a little dusting flour on there. Now that we've reached peak of development, we can add our dusting flour, and we don't have to worry about it being incorporated. So now that's there. Just going to stretch this out a bit. We're going to take it down into thirds. Get that over there. That over here.
Excellent.
I'm just going to round this one off, so when we let it sit for a minute. We don't have to worry about any unevenness. We have beautiful loaves of bread.
Okay, so nice and evenly rounded. And again, you were saying something about unevenness. So we want to make sure that the loaf is even all the way around?
Yeah, if we don't have it uneven and we try to bake it, we're just going to get some nasty, crappy looking piece of bread.
Right, so it's going to look small on one side, big on the other side. So
Yeah.
rounding's important, right?
Very important.
Fantastic. Now, we've also taken another 1/3 of our dough and we've cut it into individual pieces, small. These are going to be buns. So there's kind of an interesting way of doing this as well to make sure that they're rounded. Rain, you're ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Let me step aside and let you right in.
I have to explain.
Pardon me? No, just start running. All right, so here we go. So your hand is just down kind of flat, but you make a little cup, right? And so we're just going to go in a circle, keep going in a circle, pressing down, and it forms a ball.
My hand.
Excellent. Let me come over this side. I'll grab one as well. There we go. So just flatten your hand, straight down, pushing quite hard. And when you're done, look what I've got. There you go. Nice, even. And again, the whole idea is nice and even. You know what? We have a little bit of work still to do. So why don't we take a look at a chef tip on ingredients. And when we come back, we'll show you what's next. Hi, and welcome to Chef Tips. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about sugar. Now, in front of me, I have some sucrose. Sucrose is also known as table sugar. It's the stuff you put in your coffee or your tea. This is a regular grain. It goes from very, very coarse, like sanding sugar, to very, very fine, like castor sugar, but it's all sucrose. Over here, we have icing sugar. And icing sugar, believe it or not, is also table sugar that's been ground very, very fine. But you know what? I also love sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. They're definitely the way to go. Great flavor. Okay, so our dough's all rounded out, looks beautiful. Now we need to let it rest. Every time you work with something, you develop gluten. So you need to allow the dough to relax. Nice and gentle. We're going to put a little bit more flour on top of these. And then we're going to cover them up, and we're just going to put them somewhere to relax. We're not proofing yet. We still want to actually mold and play a little bit. Tell you what, why don't we take a little break? When we get back, we'll carry on. Hi, and welcome back to Chef Class Patisserie. All right, we promised bread's ready. So you can see our bread's been resting, the gluten has relaxed. It's now time to mold it. So we're going to do some of the bread as boules, as rounds. We're going to do some of the bread as molded into loaves because it's a very versatile dough. Last week we showed you how to make a single knot. This week we're going to show you how to make a double knot. So Rain, you're ready right here to make one of your rounds into a loaf.
Yes, chef.
Can you take us through that, please?
Yes, chef.
Yeah, it's a nice soft dough. So we're going to give it a lot of support. Perfect.
First off, we're going to go down the middle and indent it.
There's a little bit of flour for your fingers if you need. Okay.
Now we're going to take it from the back, we're going to pull it into the middle, and take it from the front and also pull it into the middle. And now to fold it in half. Once it's in half, you're going to pinch the sides to get the fold together so it sticks together and it doesn't come apart.
And you want to make sure it's nice and firm, right?
Yes, chef.
Okay. Looks good. And just a nice little round. Perfect. And then back onto the tray. Can you show us that one more time? I'll lift this up for you. So we have that. Looks very nice. We have our next loaf. And it's really important to make sure that when you're doing this, the top is always the top. So you want to turn it upside down to make sure it's nice and smooth. Rain, can you show us that again, please? Here, you have a little bit of flour for your fingers. Perfect. So it bottom up and right in half. We're pinching it sealed. And getting right to the end. Perfect. Couple of little rolls, and look at how nice that is. Gorgeous. 2 loaves that look exactly the same, and done. Right back on the tray. Now once again, we'd let it rest, then we'd go ahead and proof it till it doubled in size, and it's going to be ready for the oven. I want to show you as well how to put together a bun called a double knot. So I'm going to take a little flour down, I'm going to put the bun down, and I'm going to roll it into a stick. And it's exactly the same as last week's show where we did a single knot, except this time I'm going to roll it out a little farther. So I want to have it not quite a foot long, maybe 10 inches or so. And I'm going to crimp it in half. And I'm going to take the top part, I'm going to very delicately fold it around my fingers, lift and open, and tuck that top part in, and take the bottom part and tuck it in the other way. And what I've got then is a double knot. Let's do that again. That looked complicated. It's actually not that bad. So I'm going to take it again. Again, I turned it upside down because the top is always going to be the top. I just give it a roll. I get that nice, even. You'll notice I'm not rolling over the edges. I'm just kind of keeping it nice and even. I'm going to take the top part, crimp it almost in half, top part around my fingers, and I'm going to tuck it in. And then I'm going to take the bottom part and I'm going to tuck it in the other way. And once again, I have a double knot. Look how pretty they are. They're really beautiful. All right, so we have a little bit of molding left to do. While we're finishing up right here, Ryan has something really special for us. He went ahead and made some incredible dips this morning that we're going to enjoy with our fresh bread. Ryan, you're all set up and ready to go?
I am.
Can you walk us through that, please?
Yeah, for sure. First off, so today I brought in a black olive tapenade. Very simple, very nice. It's just chopped black olives, chopped capers, some shallot, a bunch of olive oil, some thyme, and a shot of honey just to sweeten it up that touch. And then over here we've got a hummus. It's just basically, if you haven't had hummus before, it's just chickpeas blended together, so a bunch of garlic, and a nice shot of citrus right at the end to kind of freshen things up. But today we're going to be making whipped ricotta with some mint, dill. I got some preserved lemon here that's very, very nice. So we're going to start. We're going to take our ricotta, get that into our bowl here. I'm not going to start with all of it quite yet. Then got some Greek yogurt. Just thin things out a little bit, be nice. All right, so I'm just gonna work these things together. All right, gonna get that mint in there. Mint just kind of makes it nice and fresh and very nice. The dill. My preserved lemon. Just so we don't get too much of the preserved flavor, I'm just gonna hit it with a bit of lemon juice so we get all that nice citrus flavor.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Oh, it tastes good too.
Yeah. So could you make this again in a machine if you want to? You can process it?
If I could, I'd probably rather make it in a machine. Just kind of gets all those little lumps out and just incorporates everything that much better. But I think we're gonna get something pretty nice just with this.
Okay. That's good.
All
It looks
right.
awesome.
It does. Should I like to taste with
I
me, Chef?
really, really would.
All right. Just get a bit of this. I think
Wow.
some salt.
Yeah. Yeah, the base flavor though is beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And as it sits, the flavor from the herbs is coming out as well, right?
Fantastic.
So you might want to make this a night ahead of time?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, let it sit overnight. Wake up in the morning, spread it on some toast. I think that'd just be gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Great way
Love
to
it.
wake up.
That dill really comes through. All right, so Ryan's just going to finish up, make sure that we've got all the flavors the way we want them. This is going to be amazing. And again, let it sit, and you've got something special. Now, we've got one thing more to do. We've got to take the bread to the oven. And this is a little bit different today. So let's go over there, and we'll show you.
There we go.
Okay, so I've got an oven at 475 degrees. It's really hot. You want to go in fast and close the door quickly so we don't lose heat. Now here's the magic part. We have to wait for about a minute, and then we're going to spray the wall with some water. We're going to mist it with some water. And what's going to happen is the water is actually then going to mist all through the oven, and it's going to prevent the crust from setting too early. So the crust will set later on in the baking process, be really crispy and really, really beautiful. So you know what? I think we're ready now. So what we're going to do is very fast, not to lose heat. Open, spray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, closed. We're going to do that every minute for about the first 4 minutes, and the bread's going to come out after about 20. Absolutely beautifully. So I'll tell you what, we got to do some baking. Why don't we take a little break, and when we get back, we're going to have some gorgeous fresh bread. Welcome back to Chef Class Patisserie. All right, as promised, we're all done. So the bread's been baked beautifully. It's a very classical French bread. Again, it's called a pain rustique. So it's designed, we want it to be a little bit darker. We want to have that European look. This is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. It's light. It's fluffy. We also have the buns. Again, absolutely gorgeous. And they're surprisingly light, but crispy and chewy on the outside. So let's take a very, very good sharp knife. Don't push down on the bread. Let your knife do the work. Look at the crispiness. It's amazing. Let your knife do the work. Look at the steam rising out. It just does not get fresher than this. If I push at all right now, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get squished bread. So I just want to slice. There we go. Nice and delicately. There's my loaf. There we are. Let's move this. Perfect. And this is going to sit inside. There we go. I've got a few buns. Let's actually do. I don't want to cover up that bread. It's so beautiful. And take a look at what we have there. All right, so all this warm, look at the steam rising up, this warm, gorgeous bread. We have all of our dips, our lovely tapenade, we have our ricotta dip, we have our hummus, and let me tell you something, those are incredible. You want to make a meal out of something, a nice appetizer? There it is right there. Fresh, gorgeous bread. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Fantastic. Look how beautiful that is. The bread is still steaming. It's all crispy and gorgeous. Our dips are incredible. They go with it so well. We have our tapenade, we have our ricotta dip, and our hummus. This is beautiful, beautiful thing. actually could make a meal, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of meat. That's something special.
Yeah, and don't forget, Chef, if you like what you saw here today, check out loyalisttv.com. Past episodes, all the recipes, everything you've seen on the show, it's all right there, right at your disposal.
Yeah, it's an excellent website.
Also, if you really like the look of the food, come to Risto 213 at Loyalist College. Student run Thursdays and Fridays for lunch and dinner.
Yeah, and don't forget to join us next week. We're doing classical Danish pastry. It's something you really don't want to miss. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Chef Class Patisserie.